are back again with another admissions Instagram live, and I'm excited for this one because my good friend and fellow poly rep Georgia will be joining us tonight, and we will be discussing everything about what life is like as a college student at Cal Poly Slough. So I will accept her now. Give me 1 second.
Hi.
Hi, Georgia. How
are you?
Good. So I was just saying that this evening, Cal Poly Admissions will be doing a live about what it's like to be a college student at Cal Poly and living in Slough. So I'll start by introducing myself. As you all hopefully know by now, my name is Olivia Jones, pronouns she, her, hers, and I am a fourth-year communications major from the Bay Area. And we are both poly reps, so we are the official university ambassadors and tour guides for Cal Poly. And so we have so much information and stories, so many things to tell you. So if you have any questions, now is your chance to speak to passionate students. So Georgia, do you want to start?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. I know you had no control over that whatsoever. I am a third year here at Cal Poly studying interdisciplinary studies of liberal arts. I recently picked up a minor in theater, which is very exciting. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm also from the Bay Area. Fun fact for all of you out there, Olivia and I actually both live in Danville, so we technically get to be neighbors here in Slough and at home, which is awesome.
We sure
I get to see a lot of her. Lucky me.
I know. Okay, let me just pin this comment so you all know what question function to use. So yeah, we're just going to be chatting pretty casually about what it's like to be a college student in Slough. So just to kind of talk a little bit about where Slough is located, we are about halfway between San Francisco and LA. So we're kind of bang smack in the middle on the central coast. We are kind of like a beachy mountain town. So there's mountains all surrounding us, as well as 10 beaches within 10 miles. And San Luis Obispo is definitely a college town. So the population is about 50% college students. So, you know, with a mix of our Questa community college students and Cal Poly students. So I definitely feel like everything is catered towards as Cal Poly students. So, you know, it really feels like we're all a part of the community, but then we're also surrounded by obviously people that just live here beyond going to school here. Do you want to talk a little bit more? Did I miss anything?
No, not at all. Definitely together in the community is probably my favorite part, because aside from like Cal Poly events and being able to hang out with students that live here in Slough and go to school with me, it's also fun to kind of participate in events that happen in Slough, whether that's downtown or my favorite personally is we do a farmer's market every Thursday in our beautiful downtown area that I would say is definitely the biggest time where I see community engagement between college students and people who live in the Slough area. It's super, super fun. I go like almost every week with all my roommates. You see everybody, there's food, a lot of different vendors come down, there's live music. We actually have a friend in Polyreps who's in a band and has performed a couple times at the farmers market, and we all come and support him. So that's just a really fun way to kind of get involved in the community and get outside of the campus life and kind of be part of it, which is really awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I love farmers market. I think it's so fun. Huge. And especially as a freshman, in terms of transportation, you're not actually allowed to have a car on campus. And so the main places that our free bus takes people is to downtown Slough. So I know I used to go freshman year out of the campus and go downtown, especially on Thursdays. It was just such an easy thing to do. And so all you do is you swipe your Cal Poly card and the bus will take you downtown. They kind of level up a little bit on Thursdays because they have like a double-decker two-deck bus. So that's always fun. And of course, our main thing that we do here is academics. So as a college student in general. And one thing that I like a lot about Cal Poly is I feel like there really is that balance of academics and then social and fun things. They want to make sure that you're getting involved in things beyond just your classes, so you don't feel like your whole life is consumed by your schoolwork. And obviously that will change depending on what your major is or how much time you want to dedicate towards it. But you'll hear this probably a lot if you end up coming here, is that you're supposed to study 25 to 35 hours a week. So that equates to, if I have 16 units, that's about 32 hours a week of studying. So that's just the kind of general recommendation of how you should best dedicate towards your studies. But then the rest of the time, you can do whatever you please.
Absolutely. I think it's also awesome, like you mentioned, everyone's very academically focused and motivated. So I feel like for me personally, I love being around people that also really value their schoolwork and their degree, and when everyone else is studying, and it can be combined with doing something fun. Like a lot of times I'll go to the beach and study, and like there's great study spots, whether that's on campus or in a coffee shop downtown or at the beach, and you'll look around and see people definitely working on their schoolwork, which makes you kind of feel like you're not the only one that's like holding that as some importance outside of your social life. So it's definitely really cool to see that that's a common value among people around Cal Poly.
Yeah, I agree. I think everyone kind of develops their own best study habits. I think, especially on the weekends, if you've got that, I think it's always fun to get out and be somewhere else. And so there's tons of cool study spots that I recommend. Like you said, coffee shops, beach, even just sitting on the grass somewhere.
Yeah.
Tons of cool things. I feel like there's definitely a lot of resources to help people. So freshman year, you would meet with the Mustang Success Center, and they basically sit down with you and help you plan out all of your classes, because registration can be stressful sometimes. So they want to make sure that, you're staying on top of your schedule and making sure you get all of the classes in the right order. And then we have academic advising for each college beyond your first year, as well as tutoring. There's a writing lab in the library that you can use if writing is a strong suit. And yeah, like Georgia said, just studying with people, getting help with your classes, it definitely can be manageable so that you have time to do other things on top of it.
Absolutely. And I really try to encourage people to utilize those because they're there for a reason. I'm definitely not one that tries to tough it out on my own, so I'm definitely comfortable asking for help. I actually met with my advisor now before I even decided on coming to Cal Poly, because they're there even before you're a student. Like, I was interested in the college, actually scheduled a meeting, had been emailing him, and was like, I want to know what the course load's going to look like. I want to know what sort of things are going to be available in terms of concentrations. Just another way to kind of be a little bit more emphasized in what you're interested in studying. So definitely started utilizing that even before I got here. But just like Olivia said, so many resources out there. I use the Mustang Success Center still. One of my roommates, Sophia, is actually meets with a peer advisor just to kind of check in on time management, or honestly to talk about your week, kind of let you know that you're not alone in like balancing all these different things, and like trying to provide you with some help in whatever way you need it. Because you're in college, it can be scary and you can feel like you're alone in kind of all your responsibilities, but that's why everybody's here to help, and everybody's kind of going through it together, which is awesome. So it's definitely very easy to do that.
Yeah. What would you say was how was your experience transitioning from high school into college, specifically in SLO at Cal Poly?
I'd say it was great personally, because I have two older sisters that I kind of had seen go through the college process. So I was prepared in that a little bit. In terms of Cal Poly, again, I said I connected with my advisor right off the bat. So I would say communicating with the people that are there to help you through the process is something that kind of changed the game for me. Definitely taking advantage of that communication as early as possible. Especially all of you that are already doing that by tuning into this admissions live, because you're getting information. Kind of just, we're here to make it easier for you, to give you some tips and tools that you can use to make you more successful. So you're already doing what I would recommend. So just keep it up. Keep up the communication with people that are here to help. That was definitely what made my transition easiest, for sure.
I agree, definitely. So We have a couple questions.
Awesome.
Someone asked, dining plan, like how does it work? Do you want to kind of touch on how dining works?
Yeah, so we have a bunch of different dining facilities here on campus. Olivia mentioned a little earlier that we have a little poly card. She was talking about it in terms of transportation, but that also is how you access your meal plan. So we do have a meal plan here that every student that lives on campus is required to have. You can choose between 3 different meal plans, small, medium, or large, I'll call them. And it basically serves as like a debit transaction. So you're not going to be like, oh, I used 1 meal credit for the day. So like if I have an apple or if I have a full meal, it's going to be the same thing. So it's basically like you're kind of paying for what you are eating through our several dining facilities that are on campus kind of spread out, but it's going to be just taking down that meal credit per se. So yeah.
And then that works for every place on campus. So we have food trucks, we have our big dining complex, Vista Grande, which was built just last year. So that's really fun. They have like a allergen-friendly kitchen. There's a sweet bar, breakfast. There's rotating places, so you're not eating the same thing all the time. We have a 24-hour subway. We have multiple Starbucks on campus and places to get coffee. We have a campus market where you can pick up your just traditional groceries if you want to pick those up, even as a freshman. And then beyond that, you can continue to have a dining plan if you would like, or you can just use real money. So sometimes as a senior, I'll be on campus and I'll think I'm starving right now and I don't want to go all the way back home. So I'll just pick up whatever I can find near me. So I definitely like the way the dining is set up here.
I do the same thing. It's really nice that it's able to be accessed by everybody that's on campus, but there's definitely something for everyone. Something I would recommend is not eating the same thing that you found that you like every single day, because like obviously that can get a little old. So I kind of like dipped into several little pools of the food on campus and kind of gave myself that variety and figured out what my favorites were, and it was really made it super easy because there's so many options. I wish that we had the Vista Grande Center when I was living on campus because it's amazing, but yeah, good thing I can still use it whenever I want.
Active students are lucky.
Yeah.
Was waiting for this question. Will admissions decisions start coming out tomorrow or not until April 1st? So April 1st is the guaranteed deadline that everyone will hear back from by then. And then you will have a month to decide. And then by May 1st, you will have to make your decision whether you'll be accepting your admissions at Cal Poly or not. So they will guarantee that you will hear on or before April 1st. Speaking from insider information, I know that the admissions officers are definitely very close to releasing those admissions decisions. So just keep checking your portal and your email, keep checking your junk, anything that you think it might pop up on, then that's where it's going to be. So keep waiting. I know that it's frustrating, but trust me, it'll be coming out soon. So
that's exciting.
For sure.
Something I also recommend, parents or supporters that are following along within your admissions process, there's a Facebook group that you can join to kind of chat with other supporters or other people that are kind of going through the same process with you. So I know my parents were definitely following along that during this time to kind of see like, oh, you know, it's starting to look like this college or these few majors have started to hear back, just to kind of stay up to date on that a little bit, because other parents and supporters are happy to be sharing that information. So you can kind of get a little bit of a hint as to when you might hear, but obviously that's not a surefire way to know that you're going to hear within the next couple days. But, you know, if you're so curious, that's definitely something that you can check out, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's a good idea, definitely. Joining any Facebook pages or Instagrams or whatever that you can find, will tend to post like if the child or whatever has heard from there, and that way if you haven't heard back yet, you can know, okay, well, people from this college or who applied to this major haven't heard back yet, so that's definitely valuable to keep track of.
Absolutely.
Do the decisions come out all at once or do they roll out? So they generally roll out, so they'll obviously there'll be acceptances declines, I don't know what that word. And wait lists. So I'm not sure exactly what specific groups happen at which times, and I don't think they have super specific way of releasing everything, so I'm not going to give you any false information, but I know they don't come out all on the same day at the same time, so don't be alarmed if you haven't heard anything, even if one of your friends has.
Absolutely. I've noticed it tends to be like around the same time as the other majors in that college or within that other major, but also I've seen that can change. So if you see everyone is hearing back from your college and you haven't heard, don't fret. It'll come out for sure. Patience. I know it's difficult and scary, but we're working on this end, which is nice. And it's out of your hands. So yeah, there's nothing you can do at this point, which is kind of freeing and nice to think about, that all your hard work has been put in, and now it's just a waiting game, which is totally frustrating, but it's exciting once you figure it all out.
Yeah, definitely. So next question is it easy to find housing after freshman year, either on or off campus?
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. So I lived freshman year. Obviously, all freshmen are required to live on campus, and then if you're a transfer student, you can either decide to live on campus or off campus. So we have our freshman dorms. So we have tons of different options and styles of housing that are all located on campus, and so you'll be living with 1 to 3 other people, and those are decided based on your residential learning communities. So those are, you want to live with fellow College of Engineering people, or you want to live with people that are interested in leadership, or pride living, any kind of community that you want to seek out and live with people that you have something in common with, then you'll rank those when you apply for housing. And then those residential learning communities will shift around based on kind of popularity and which dorm they think would be a good fit for that community. And then as for your second year, or if you're a transfer, so we have different options. Some second years are required to live on campus. So those that belong to the College of Engineering, Architecture and Agriculture are all required to live on campus for 2 years. So those people will be living in the apartment style living. So that's called Poly Canyon Village and Sarah Vista apartments. So you'll be living with a group of people, mostly have your own room, and you'll have your own kitchen, living room, that kind of situation. But if you don't want to live on campus, I personally have lived off campus since my freshman year. So I lived in a popular off-campus apartment complex that was located behind the business building. So it was still a super short walk to campus. And then the last 2 years, I have lived in a house that we found off campus just behind the recreation center. So I actually have never had a car at Cal Poly, which means that I've been able to find housing that has been close enough to campus. But it just kind of depends on what kind of budget you're working with, what connections you have, and what kind of housing that you find. And then I would say it's definitely something that you have to stay on top of if you want to live off campus or even on campus, because it's kind of a luxury style. So the apartments, other than those second year required housing communities, will be kind of like a lottery, first come, first serve basis. So it's kind of up to you what you want to prioritize. Both are definitely good options, and both have their pros and cons.
Yeah. Kind of same over here. I've lived off campus also since after my first year. My residential learning community first year was leadership. Shocker. Was awesome. I mean, Olivia touched on this, but just kind of a way to meet people that have similar interests or identities as you, so you can kind of hang out with them outside of school, or just meet people that you're going to be going to school with for the next few years, which is awesome, and living around, which has been great. I still have a lot of friends that were in my same residential learning community, some of which I actually still live with, which is awesome. I lived in an apartment complex super close to campus my second year as well. And I did have a car my second year. So that was really great, just to kind of get me around the general area. But I still, last year we had classes that were online, so I wasn't walking to campus, except my classes were virtual. But if I were to be walking from that specific complex, it is super close, as are a bunch of the other apartment complexes around. I actually live really close to campus in a house now, and that honestly was a pretty lucky situation. But I would say, yeah, stay on top of it, make connections, because you'll find that people that are graduating or trying to pass their house down to other Cal Poly students to kind of help other people out in terms of being close to their classes, being close to campus. Just apply a lot of places, ask around if people know people that are leaving and looking to give their house to some cool and respectful group of people that want to live there. Yeah, definitely just putting your name out there and looking around. I know my older sister literally walked around, knocked on doors and was like, "Are you selling?" I wouldn't recommend that. I don't think, not probably not the safest idea, but yeah. So you just gotta go around and ask, and people definitely are willing to help with that. So yeah, I didn't find it difficult to do that at all.
Yeah. Someone asked, how do you find roommates get accepted?
So the way that I found my roommate, I'm like a broken record, but I obviously joined all these Facebook pages, right, as I was considering Cal Poly. So I joined a Cal Poly Facebook page for my, what's it called? Not graduating class. And I basically posted a couple photos, a little bit about myself. Would just scroll through and look for those and kind of like see people who would write about their like preferred living style. If they were like, I am this major, you know, it could tell me a little bit about how much they would be on campus, or how, you know, academically focused they were going to be, things like that. Their living style, if they, you know, where they're from, things like that. So you say a little bit about yourself, and I was able to just like message them. I talked to a bunch of people, and I ended up finding my roommate through there. So I put down her information in my housing application once I was admitted, and we actually still live together now. She is my roommate still for year number 3, so worked out awesome for me. But I also know a ton of people that chose random roommates and had a great time doing that as well, putting themselves out there and trying to meet new people, which is proved to be really awesome. So you can definitely do that as well.
Yeah, I had a very similar story. I also joined Facebook pages and that kind of thing. But I think it's gearing towards Instagram now.
Yeah, I would recommend. I don't know when the last time I used Facebook since then was, so that's probably for the best.
Yeah, and then me and my roommate have also lived together since then. But we were also randomly paired with a third roommate who was completely random, and we're also still really good friends with her. So even if you decide, I don't want to deal with the stress of trying to find someone online, sometimes going random can also be a really good option. And then you will know that you probably both chose similar kind of residential learning community options. So that's always good to know that you potentially have that in common. And then in terms of general advice, I would just say that you don't have to be best friends with your roommate. Obviously, it's ideal and fortunate if you have someone that you get along with really well. But if not, then as long as you can just live well together and respect each other, then that's all you can really ask for. There's bound to be someone surrounding you in your dorm that you'll get along with.
Absolutely. Also, for orientation, you have one roommate for the night that you're here in SLO. That's actually how I met my other roommate that I live in my house with now. She lived with my first year roommate for that one night. It's called SLO Days, and it's kind of, you know, an opportunity to get some information about Cal Poly, kind of see the campus in case you hadn't had the chance to come visit. So that was a way to connect with people. So you're already going to be meeting a lot of people then, which is really cool, and kind of getting a taste of what it's like to potentially live with another person if that's something you've never done. Personally, that's not something I was new to, because I shared a room till I moved out of my hometown. So I definitely am used to living with other people. But with that being said, no one expects that of you, and everyone is kind of going through it together again. So, like, you know, finding someone that you're exactly like or completely opposite from isn't really going to change the fact that you could be friends. You could just, you know, respect each other's living situations, and yeah, it'll work out. So that's really awesome.
Yeah. Something else I wanted to touch on, just as being a college student, sometimes it can be expensive. You're spending money on textbooks, food, all these various costs, coffee even. And so I recommend, if you want to, getting a job either on campus or off campus. I currently work on campus at the Cal Poly Welcome Center, and it's just a really great way to, especially as a freshman or transfer student, potentially meet people. And since you would be working on campus, you'll be close to where you're living, and they definitely work with your schedule. So they want to make sure that your classes come first. But it's just really good to have that little bit of money that you can save towards anything related to school or anything else. I know, Georgia, you work somewhere off campus, but I think it's definitely kind of part of being a college student is actually getting a job. So
absolutely. I was really nervous to do that, but I had a job in high school and had kind of gotten the hang of managing high school workload with a job. So I was very nervous to do that. I actually didn't get a job until last year during school because I was lucky enough to be able to transition into college without having to balance that work environment. But I know a ton of people that did that right off the bat. So that was really cool. There's a bunch of different places you can work. My roommate works at the rec center on campus. Really great hours. Again, they understand that you're a college student and they know that you're putting your studies first. And that doesn't just go for campus jobs. I work at a golf course pretty close to SLO, and they hire a lot of Cal Poly students and Cuesta students. So again, all I have to do is talk about, here's my school schedule, and they right off the bat, we know that school comes first. Let us know if this is ever too much. And I still work there from last summer. So it's been really awesome way to kind of make some money and work on my time management, which was necessary.
One question is, any tips for balancing it all? I would say,
great question.
Definitely use the calendar. I know that sounds so simple, but if you struggle with staying organized or on top of things, whether that's a physical planner that you write down all of your homework, or whether you use Google Calendar or whatever makes sense for you, often I will forget I have something unless I put it in my calendar. And also reminding yourself that, it's sometimes not worth it to stay up that extra 2 hours studying, and it's worth it just to get some sleep instead, or to go and watch the sunset with your friends. Obviously you want to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward in terms of academics, but really enjoying college for what it is and embracing the beautiful place that we're in, which is SLO, and going to the rec center, trying classes that they have there, going on weekend, getting to know people in your dorm, getting to know your professors, all of these things. It can be a lot, definitely. And your first couple of quarters, your first year even might be hard to balance everything. But I would say try not to let everything fall on top of you. And then in terms of you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed or anxious, I recently started going to Cal Poly counselling at the health centre and speak to a counsellor there. So it's just really nice to kind of talk through things with someone that's unbiased. So I definitely recommend using those resources that Cal Poly has to offer so that you don't feel overwhelmed with everything on your plate.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. As cheesy as it sounds, just be kind to yourself and, cut yourself some slack. I know I put a lot of pressure on myself when it comes to school, but I think that those experiences where you're getting out and experiencing SLO and participating in Cal Poly events and getting to know people are definitely just as large of a part of shaping your college experience as school is. I love to learn, and it's really, really great, but also taking advantage of, like I said before, asking for help. I know I found that when I really feel like the weight of the world is on my shoulders, your professors want you to succeed, and the people in the health center or wherever that may be are there because they want what's best for you, and they don't want you to be feeling like that. So if you are going into office hours, establishing that relationship with your professors has really helped me in terms of just like knowing that they're there for me and like my success, and they want me to be in a healthy learning environment rather than feeling like I'm putting too much pressure on myself or I'm too stressed. Asking for extensions if it's necessary. I found that that's been really helpful, and they are usually pretty willing to do that in most circumstances, which is really, really helpful. Last thing is I'm pretty bad at using a calendar, so I'm trying to get better at that. That's something I'm still working on as a third year, but not putting that on just myself. So I tend to I try to time manage and be part of these helpful activities with other people. And what I mean by that is, maybe saying, hey, would you, whoever it is, want to go to the library with me today? So I'm kind of held accountable for that. That's helped me a lot in terms of managing my time, because I find that when it's on my own schedule, I tend to, want to participate in something social instead of something I might need to do. But if there's other people there to motivate me or hold me to that, I found that to be super helpful. Even if it's something as little as going to the grocery store, that's another thing that's added to the list of things you have to do. And it feels like it's so much as a college student. But if there's other people that are needing to complete the same tasks as you and kind of are living a similar lifestyle, it's really helpful to have other people that are kind of there to do it with you so that you're not by yourself. That's definitely a huge thing for me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's one thing that I like and appreciate about Cal Poly is that I feel like there's that lack of hyper competitiveness. People want to and they want everyone to be successful. And so even though people are super hardworking and committed to, the schoolwork or all of the things that they're involved in, then they don't want to do it in a cutthroat way.
Yeah.
That's another thing is try and get involved. I mean, Georgia involved in multiple things across campus, and it's fun meeting people that you ordinarily would never meet in your classes or in your dorm. It's just fun to have things that, even if they're completely unrelated to what you're studying, it's something that you're passionate about. And so, we're in poly reps, we volunteer online to, attracting people to come to Cal Poly. We're both involved in Greek life. I'm in the Cal Poly Honours Programme. Georgia has worked in, theatre and getting involved in that. And I think it's just really fun to make sure that you have these outlets beyond just when you're in class.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, something I found that's been really helpful about getting involved in clubs, organizations. I find that I have a lot of ideas and a lot of fun things that I'm interested in, but I kind of lack the planning aspect of it in terms of I want to be part of this, but what now? You're part of this, it's your interest. You have people at your disposal that also share that interest for you, but what do I do with it? So what's nice about getting involved in clubs or other organizations is that they're going to make plans for you almost in some instances. An example of this is we have something called Poly Escapes here at Cal Poly, where you can go and rent anything from climbing shoes to wetsuits to surfboards, or anything that kind of would motivate you or help you in order to kind of go explore the area around SLO. And they'll put on trips for people that are involved in Poly Escapes to actually go and explore together. So it's I'm here, I'm really interested in outdoor exploration, or I really want to learn how to kayak. I don't know why that was the first example, but they'll organize trips for you to be able to do that with other people that are also interested in it, which has been super awesome because they'll kind of plan for you and you don't have to think twice, but get involved, explore things that you've never done before. And kind of the rest of the work is almost done for you with the people that are in it as well. So that's really awesome too. That's so much fun.
Yeah, great advice. So someone asked, that popping up. I applied as a transfer student. Is it possible to hear a decision in the beginning of March? Yes, potentially. I'm not 100% positive of whether transfer decisions come out the same time as freshman decisions. So that's something I would have to get clarification on. You can definitely DM this Instagram page and they'll be able to give you a clearer answer. But in terms of admissions decisions in general, it is possible that they will be coming out at the beginning of March. Not something I can personally guarantee just as a student right now. But like I said, definitely keep an eye on those decisions that hopefully will be coming out before April 1st. Yeah, same question. When will admissions notices be sent out? Anytime in the next coming month, definitely by April 1st. So March tomorrow, we will see what happens. Okay, well, I think that's all of the questions we have so far. But I would just recommend a kind of last minute advice is to come and visit Cal Poly. Our tour guides, so we are giving tons of tours right now. We just got a whole new batch of tour guides, and open house is in April, so I definitely recommend coming to that. That is actually when I made my decision of where I wanted to go to school, and obviously found myself here. And just watching all of these videos, you're getting a great start of just engaging with students and seeing if what they talk about and how they explain things is similar to what kind of aligns with what you're looking for your college experience. We have tons of cool videos on this Instagram page as well as on our YouTube page. And then, come visit if you can. If you're not able to at the moment, we also offer virtual tours Wednesdays, and so you also could just tour around campus yourself if you don't want to go on an official tour, or you can go to an official ambassador tour. Let's say you're interested in the College of Agriculture specifically, you can get an agriculture specific tour. So I think that that's a big part of it, is coming and being on the campus and seeing students around and seeing if it would be a good fit for you. But I just wish everyone good luck, and thank you, Georgia, so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Good luck, everyone.
Of course. Thank you all. Have a great night. Bye.